This interview with Jenny Scholl, about to come on How to Align Your Life and Work with Purpose, is brought to you by Burned Up Coaching and the 21-Day Challenge. If you're an entrepreneur, high achiever, you're feeling stuck, you're plateaued, you're overwhelmed, exhausted, burnt out, or you're just lacking the inspiration and drive that you once had, 21-Day Challenge will help you get clear on your purpose and your vision for your life and really realign with that so you can take action and succeed like never before. 21 days will have daily accountability and progress check-ins, weekly deep dive calls to uncover the self-sabotaging, limiting beliefs that are stopping you from success, and we'll track your habits, do all kinds of really cool stuff to equip you to be your greatest possible self and achieve that 21-day challenge goal. If you're interested, send me an email, chris@beyourgps.com, or message through Facebook, facebook.com/th3burns. Thanks in advance for doing that, and I look forward to seeing you in our 21-day challenge. The next thing that we do every single episode is we read an iTunes review of the week to inspire you to rate, review, and subscribe. You Got Sam wrote, "Leap into launching your vision. I absolutely immersed myself with this podcast all weekend. I can speak from personal experience. I used to be the number one procrastinator on the face of the planet. However, after meeting Chris Burns and listening to his podcast and all his content all over social media, I've taken that leap and launched my vision, and it has become a reality in the making. Hands down, so much value and knowledge has been taken away from this podcast. I highly recommend subscribing and taking that leap just like I have chosen to do. Cheers." If you want to give us a review, we appreciate it. Go to beyourgps.com/iTunes, and you can do it there, or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on iTunes, same thing, or podcast. Or you can search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on Facebook and give us your feedback there. What you love about the show, what you think could be improved, how we can grow, all that good stuff. Thank you in advance for doing it. Now, the woman of the hour is going to bring you some freaking heat, and she knows a thing or two about greatness, so stay tuned. From helping build brands for athletes and professional speakers to building teams and revenue for companies transitioning from startup to IPO, her gift for identifying talent at all levels and putting people in the position to truly shine with a quiet strength and grace crosses all industries and time zones. On top of her career in advertising sales as the top earner on the West Coast, she realized something was missing. The money was great, the recognition was great, but her life had become about her work, and both lacked purpose. But her life had become about her work, and both lacked purpose. I wanted to deliver that. That was a good one. Putting in the work to get clear on her mission, asking the tough questions, and following the answers has led her to her true center as the Chief Impact Officer and COO at the Greatness Foundation, where she leads and supports a community of world changers who want to make a difference. Holding a degree in journalism from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, she now gets to share stories of greatness from around the world as she blends her love of travel, philanthropy, and helping others find their purpose and live a life of greatness. And Jenny is here with us today. Jenny, you ready to rock this?
I'm ready.
Yes, you are. We're ready. We are now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you so much for showing up today to teach us a thing or two about greatness, Jenny. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I love your energy. Let's do this.
That's right. That's right. We're just getting started in here. Come on. I love it. So we're going to dive into the theme of the day, which today is embodying your leadership. So Jenny, how has this concept and principle of embodying your leadership, how has that played a role in your life?
Oh, that's a good question. Embodying my leadership, it's something I think that has inspired me from others that are just living in their authenticity. Has inspired me to step up and live more in mine, because I think that's a big part of embodying your leadership is kind of leading with that quiet strength and grace and just owning who you are and what you believe in, and leading by example.
Yeah, I love that. How the quiet strength and grace. You know yourself. You know your messaging. I love that you brought that back in. That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, that's so perfect. And being the example, being the role model who embodies that. Like, how else can we really achieve that greatness in our life? How else can people really truly step into their purpose if we're not the space of stepping into ours. If we're not authentically, courageously taking on our purpose and our vision, then people around us will get that there might be something missing, that there's something that isn't quite in alignment with that, and they won't be fully inspired and engaged and bought into their vision. So you have to do it. You have to do it to help people around you really step into their purpose, especially in the Greatness Foundation, which is incredible. And I want you to share about that with our audience. For anyone who is learning about you for the first time or getting to know you more, why don't you share about the Greatness Foundation and the work that you are doing there?
Of course. Greatness Foundations, we're an impact accelerator. We provide tools and resources for our community of world changers that want to make a difference.
Wow.
So really, we're a big community of incredible people that we call world changers that have purpose at their center. So we help people start and grow businesses that they love, but we know it all starts from within. So it's really about finding that purpose. We've got a few pillars: be more, do more, and give more, which are our pillars of greatness. Be more, really looking within and noticing if something feels off. What is it? Asking those questions, aligning yourself with the right people, getting out of your comfort zone. I'm sure a lot of things that you speak about on a daily basis that are helping people grow more towards their alignment with who they are and what they're meant to bring to the world. Do more is putting it into action. That's where we've got our course, Passion to Profit, helping people start businesses that they love. Really aligning not only your personal life, but your professional life with your purpose. And then Give More is our nonprofit arm, where we focus on basic needs and education so that people have the basics covered to even have the opportunity to think bigger and be who they were meant to be and bring their gifts to the world. So we do house builds in Mexico, open a school in Nicaragua. We're going down to Mexico again this weekend to build 2 houses. We leave for Kenya next Wednesday.
You said Kenya next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Kenya,
freaking rad. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so excited. It's incredible because you just meet people. Like when you put out there what you want to do in the world and you attract other incredible world changers and have the ability to make these connections, incredible things happen.
Yeah. So powerful, so powerful. So the be more, do more, and give more. And I love that, especially we were talking earlier this week, like the passion to profit. If you're not doing like as an influencer, as someone who's an entrepreneur building a brand, if you're not doing everything you can to do what you love and inspires you and you're passionate about, as well as what you're good at and the work that you're like kind of meant to do, the impact that you're meant to have in the world, kind of bringing those together, then you're missing out on something. There's too many people out there who are just doing something to do it, just to make money, just to get by, just to, get a living, where you can build something that really makes a difference and is a huge contribution and something that you're inspired to do on a daily basis. And if you simply take the time up front to align with that, or wherever you're at in the journey, maybe it's not up front anymore, you're deep in your journey, and you can still refine that, you can still make that pivot to get back into alignment or more in alignment to live a more fulfilling and inspired life. So I think that's awesome. And then I love how you are equipping these third world countries as well with the basics, and people who are less fortunate with the basics, because not everyone is born in the United States or whatever country that has the freedom to be an entrepreneur, that has the freedom to jump on a phone, to jump into, conversations with world changers like you, Jenny, or me. Like it's a little bit more difficult to access this in certain places of the world. So I really appreciate you and acknowledge you for being a part of that mission to take that on.
Thank you. Yeah, it's such an incredible, I feel like it's an honor and an opportunity. As this Impact Accelerator, not only do we get to meet incredible people, but really cool organizations that are on the ground in these countries making a difference. They're almost so good at what they're doing, but they're not really good about telling people, right? Like they're focused on the work, on their mission, and they are grinding. And so when we get to come in and tell their stories and present their needs to our community, who are like, of course, hands get raised, people come down, our house builds are selling out months in advance, because so many people just want the opportunity to give more.
Amazing. And you have incredible individuals who are supporting you. I know Mike Sherbakov, I believe is his name. He's leading it, and I know Brad Hart, who's been on the show. He's a part of your guys' board and helping you, supporting you. So you're surrounded by amazing people, and you're totally equipped. And speaking of being equipped, Jenny, you were equipped to be exactly where you're at right now, living your purpose, fulfilling your dreams, because of the life that that unfolded, right? You're
Mhm.
you're perfectly unfolding life up till this point. So I want to rewind a little bit and go back into that journey and hear more about what was that like? What was that journey like? What were some of the pieces of the puzzle that came together for you? What was some of the lessons and the wisdom that you picked up along the way so that we can learn and become our greatest possible selves and potentially speed up our learning curve to being our GPS?
Yeah, I'd love to share with you. I sometimes pinch myself,
Mm.
being like, wow, looking back at all the dots that kind of seemed random at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
I've had a few jobs, a lot of jobs in startups and after college, and I'll go into that. But being like, "Wow, that all makes sense. Now I'm using all of these skills as we're growing
Wow.
this incredible community." Yeah, so I grew up in North Carolina, pretty traditional family.
Mhm.
Was really, the oldest of three kids, decided I needed to go to a 4-year college. I needed to, get a job. Before I even graduated, I got a job. I had to take a day
Wow.
off for my graduation, which should have told me something about my boss at the time, but it
Right.
didn't. But I was working for a sports agent.
Uh-huh.
Super cool. I got to interact with Olympic athletes and speakers and help
Wow.
them share their messages of greatness and align with brands that they cared about, and really learned a lot kind of how business works, and
Mm.
working in a small company. When I reached a stage where I didn't feel like I was growing anymore, I started looking for another opportunity and found
Mhm.
another startup in Raleigh, North Carolina, in advertising, in ad tech.
Nice.
And I remember calling my mom after the last interview with the CEO, because there was pretty small at the time. I think I was employee number 38, and being like, I still don't understand what they do, but they all love their jobs. And that's what I was looking for. I was just looking for like a culture of people who are on a mission together.
Yeah.
And I found it there. I found it there at
Wow.
Max Point. So it was cool. I was helped that company grow from North Carolina. I ended up moving out to California to open the sales division on the West Coast.
What was that like?
Um,
That transition from East Coast to West Coast?
it was crazy. And, that was my first really push out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would have done it on my own. I was
Mm.
presented an opportunity. I was actually about to move into an apartment downtown Raleigh, North Carolina, with one of my
Uh,
best friends on a Saturday. And on a Friday, I got pulled into an office and said, Joe, our CEO, thinks, you've been flying out to California to train the sales team. He wants you to just move to California and join the sales team officially. And
wow.
I thought, like, big picture, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
great. Like, what's the trajectory for that?
Yeah.
I'll start sitting in on meetings. And they're like, no, we have your offer letter right here. We need you to move as soon as possible. And 3 weeks later, I was in California.
Dang.
I
That's so
know.
cool. That's so cool though. Like life just it's like here you go. Here's your next evolution. Here's your next step to get to where
Totally.
you're supposed to be. Like you said, those dots that connect when you look backward, but at the time you're like, whoa, okay. Well, I
And I
guess.
don't think I ever would have moved to California. And I definitely never would have gotten into sales, because I had this kind
Mm,
of negative connotation about it.
yep.
But since it was a technology that I had physically built as part of this startup,
Mm,
I knew everything about it. I knew everything
wow.
inside and out. And I was like, oh, you just want me to go talk about the thing we've been spending the past 2 years building? I can do
Mm,
that.
yeah.
Um, and well, I mean, push comes to shove. I couldn't imagine myself sitting in that office in Raleigh every day with the CEO,
Mm,
knowing I'd passed down an opportunity.
wow.
I was like, I better take this, right? Like, what's the
Mm,
worst case? I don't like it and I come back.
right.
But it was scary, man.
Right.
I didn't know what I was doing. And then I moved to California, and sales is such a network kind of
Yeah.
industry. And I didn't know anyone.
Mm,
And I was
that's
handed
tough.
my list of accounts, and I was like, I don't even know what agencies represent these accounts, and who's
Mm.
the players in this field. And man, I just started hustling, uh, because I didn't want to let down this person who had just given me this
It's the only
opportunity.
choice you got.
Right. And I think it actually was to my benefit that I wasn't trained in quote
Mm,
unquote traditional sales, because I just started making relationships, and I just
wow.
started taking people out for coffee and picking their brain and asking what they knew and if they could help me, and um, telling them when our product was a good fit, and also being really honest and being like, oh, yeah, no, we don't do that great.
Mm,
You
mhm,
might want to go
mhm.
to someone else for that.
Yeah,
And so it would just build this rapport and this trust, which led me, I credit that to my success in sales for sure,
yeah, yeah.
um, is building that kind of trust and authenticity. And lately, now in our course too, I teach courses now on purpose-driven sales,
Mm,
and how to close with purpose, and
wow.
um, make it. You still need to ask, you still need to get the sale. We all need to
Mhm,
still make an income,
mhm.
but there's a way to do it that does build that trust, and is genuine, and
Mm.
not kind of salesy.
That's
So
powerful. Well, I know that
yeah.
we're going to be talking about how to like discover and align with our purpose. And I know for anyone that is listening, definitely keep that little nugget that Jenny just gave you in your back pocket. If you want to be a purpose-driven salesperson and sell your vision and sell your purpose and sell what the impact and the outcome that you can provide for people with your message, with your influence, with your leadership, definitely keep that in mind for the future or when you're ready.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's powerful.
Yeah. Perfect. So you went through that phase, and then what was next?
Next, so our company, we brought it all the way through an IPO. We went public. We celebrated. I think I was employee 38, and we had over 400 by the time that happened. So we grew quick in a matter of years.
Yeah.
And then things started to change a little bit. We got pretty corporate. I was at this height level of the pinnacle of my success, making great money for my age and living life, but just feeling like, wait, so this is it? Like, I was like starting, and so I started questioning, like, what did I like about the job that's no longer there? And a lot of it was the startup atmosphere and the camaraderie and being a part of something bigger. And now I was just a number on a page, and that didn't feel good. No. So I started kind of rewinding and going back to basics, and ended up taking some time to travel because I hadn't given myself. I had a lot of time off accrued and a lot of money made because I just hustled the past few years. So I was like, I'm going to go on a trip. Right. Which is funny because I hadn't traveled in forever. I decided to go to Thailand with my friend Jen, who was also in advertising. And she said, what if we tack on Cambodia? And I was like, that sounds great. Never even thought of that. It was in Cambodia at a foot massage parlor that I met Mike Sherbakov, the founder of the Greatness Foundation.
Wow.
Right? Like, what are the odds?
Dang.
So we started talking, and I meet a ton of people traveling, right? But we started talking, and he was there doing impact work. And I said, I really need to get back to that. I'm in this place that I don't really know what my next step is, but I used to love that. I used to love building houses with my dad during the summers, doing service work in North Carolina. He said, we've got this house build coming up.
Wow.
It's in February. Come down. You're going to meet an incredible community. And the short version of the story is the rest is history, but there were a lot of questions and a lot of growth and a lot of fear and a lot of stepping over the fear to make that transition. But the more I felt myself feel alive on those house builds, and when I was having the deeper conversations and when I was asking myself those questions versus when I was back in LA and back at work, it's what we kind of describe as the divine discomfort of like that feeling that something is off. And you really need to listen to it because it's a message. It's telling you, hey, something's off, right? Wow. And it just started growing bigger and bigger and bigger until I really couldn't ignore it anymore, which is when I started to make my transition out of my life in LA, out of sales, and down to San Diego to join the Greatness Foundation.
Wow. That's amazing. So how long has the Greatness Foundation been around, and how long have you been a part of it?
Yeah, so Mike's been doing projects for about 6 or 7 years, building the homes in Mexico under the name Greatness Foundation. And we've been around as a company since 2016, so about 2 years. And I've been there that whole time. Awesome.
Yeah. So were you one of the people who's like, hey, we need to like officially get this thing like in order?
I pretty much fought him to be like, I know you're good, but like I want in and I want to make this huge. And so
oh my gosh, I love it. So when you first started the company, did you have the vision of it unfolding? Let's say up till now, what you've seen and even the projects that are in the pipeline. When you joined, did you see it unfolding how it unfolded? If so, no.
Not at all. We kind of did things backwards where we built this incredible community.
Yeah.
And then have now been just servicing things that they want. They started asking questions about, well, I really want to start a business. I just don't know how. Like, okay. Or like, what are more opportunities to give close to my home? Things that when you just attract kind of the like-minded, the world changers, and doing check-ins from time to time within our team itself and saying what feels good, what feels solid, what's distracting us from the larger mission of really just creating a better world and making a difference.
Wow, so beautiful. I love it. Yeah. So you work backwards. You started off with this community. You started hearing, what is it that they really want? You internally asked your team, and it's like, hey, what are we inspired to create? What is moving us forward? So at this point, you guys are helping people in a lot of different ways. Your team, you're helping them figure out their purpose, and that's what we're mainly here to talk about today, is like how to discover our life purpose and align with it and live it. So tell us about the foundation, so to speak, no pun intended, the foundation that we need to know.
The pun is intended, don't worry. We use it all the time. The foundation of greatness.
So the foundation that we need to know to live our life purpose. Let's start there.
Yeah. So the simplest way to start, and what we tell everyone to do, and actually on our website is a free download of the purpose worksheet. It takes 5 minutes.
Sweet.
So we'll kind of run through right now what those questions are. And it's something that I do, I guess, back to my old sales, calendar every quarter of kind of checking in and making sure my purpose is still at the center. So it's kind of, a Venn diagram. It's 3 circles. Okay. And the first is to really ask yourself and get clear on what are your passions. You just free write for 2 minutes, 3 minutes on like, what makes you shine? What makes you happy? Do you like the ocean? Do you like horses? Do you like fast cars? Do you, like, what are just some things that come to mind that you're super passionate about that light you up? So you get all those out, write them all down. And then you evaluate the next circle, which is your strengths. What are things that you're good at? What are things people ask you for help with? What are things that maybe you've made money off before, or that you would write on your resume as, hey, I know I can do this. So, kind of brainstorm, think those things. They might be more personal, might be professional, whatever they are, that goes on your second list. Okay. Third list, and important when it comes to your purpose, is what are your connections and the causes that you're most passionate about? If you could solve one thing in the world today, what would it be? It might be something that you're personally tied to. It could be women's empowerment. It could be bullying in schools. It could be education. It could be clean water. Everyone kind of has their own ties to causes that they feel super passionate about. Yeah. And so at that center, when you kind of boil down, it's kind of a refinement process too, because you might have a ton of passions. And you have to look and be like, okay, what am I really passionate about?
Right. So I mix these, 40 things into one business. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, perfect. At the center there is where you start really guiding your purpose. Yeah. You say, is it something that I'm passionate about? Is it something that I'm good at? And is it something I care about? And aligning that in your personal life and really in your professional life too. Because we're such a big believer, especially if you have your own business, if you're not passionate about it, it's not going to last. Right. Like, it's just not. I started a company kind of in between the time of sales and greatness that everyone was like, oh, I'm solving a need in the market. I was creating a place for digital nomads, which I thought was cool, but it's cool. I'm not like, this is the best thing ever. Like, this is going to make a difference.
How did you know, like, did you know at the time, because you said I don't know how much time you spent on it, but at some point you said, this isn't really what I'm all about. So how did you know when to call it and say, okay, that's really not my passion? Or how did you know have the self-awareness developed or whatever it may be to say, okay, this really wasn't what I was passionate about, but this is? Like, how did that process unfold?
Yeah, luckily, I feel grateful that I didn't spend too much time on it. I was traveling at the time with the Digital Nomad program. And so I was ingrained in it. I thought it was great. I started pulling together all these resources. And I was still, talking to Mike and the team at Greatness while I was traveling. So I was kind of doing both. And as I noticed, again, like what excited me and what made me shine and light up and turn on, it was all the things I was doing at Greatness. Wow. And the time I was putting into this website and this service, even though everyone's like, that's a great idea, it's so needed. It's like, do you want to do it? Like, I don't know if I want to do it. So I kind of had to just kind of reevaluate of, if I'm spending my time and I'm dreading it just to get to something that I'm enjoying, like, we only have this one life, and like, why not live it all on purpose? Right? Like, just do it.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's people who come to you who say, but there's no way I can really make money with my purpose. Like, how am I supposed to do that? What do you say to them?
I say today we live in the greatest age ever of connectivity and technology, that I think not only can we make an impact and an income, but we have a responsibility to. Like, why not? Yeah. We have so many tools and resources and mentors and a ton of things that we give at the Greatness Foundation are just free guides and to help people get to the next level. Because in today's age, of course you can make an income doing what you love. And I've also heard people say, oh, but I really like that, so I should keep that in my hobby and not make money off of it. Have you ever heard anyone say that? Like,
Yep.
oh, but I shouldn't do that for work because that'll ruin it.
I've heard it.
You're like, what? No, that's exactly what you should be doing for work, because all that we're doing is we're trading our time and our energy with others. And if it's something that we truly enjoy and lights us up and that others don't enjoy, like they're going to pay you for it. I mean, how incredible is it just to even like walk into a bookstore and find the guy who owns it, like lit up on life and so excited about the books. And, people are going to spend money there because he's authentically shining and you can tell he's living in his purpose.
So I love this because, when people create their passion, create their thing that they're good at, and create their cause or connection, I'm sure that there's a time that they're like, okay, as long as I have these three things, then I'm totally able to make money. Like as long as I'm clear on these, I'm totally able to make money. And I think that's partially true. I believe that there is an aspect of execution, which is why people who say, man, I love playing the violin, and they're so good at it and they're so passionate about it, maybe they have a cause that they play violin for, but they don't necessarily have the execution ability to turn it into a business. It gives those people who went all in on their passion but didn't have the right teaching or leadership or coaching or guidance to be able to facilitate that dream. I think that's where that stigma comes from, is that you can't make money with your passion. So I'm sure a big component of what you do is not only just saying, hey, here's the three things and what's in the center. Okay, boom, slap them in the butt, off to the races. No, it's like there's something bigger that they have to do beyond just getting this idea and the philosophies of why they should do this thing, why they should do this purpose, why it's in their best and highest interest to do it. I'm sure there's more to it than that. So tell us about that extended, what else is needed.
Perfect. So 2 thoughts on that. First, I just finished reading the book Grit by Angela Duckworth. Have you read it?
Ooh, I haven't.
Okay, so she says the definition of success is not talent, has nothing to do with talent, has everything to do with grit, which is a unique combination of passion and persistence. It's not only going and keep going and overcoming obstacles, but in the right direction.
Yeah.
And a quote-worthy book for sure. She's a psychologist and kind of dives into people who have this mindset of grit that have made it super far in their careers and their lives. And so I love that because I think it's so true. Just having the passion, okay, you have to take what we call inspired action. You have to, get off your booty and do something, right? And so that's exactly why we created the Passion to Profit course. Because in 4 weeks and 8 modules, it's step by step, it's guided. You don't do one before you do the other. And it starts off, the first one has nothing to do with business, has everything to do with purpose. And then you've got your homework. And then the next one, you form your idea. 4 days later, next one, and so it's like, it's steps and gradual, and it's not overwhelmed, because people get overwhelmed, right? They think, oh, I don't even know what to name it. And they shut it down because they couldn't find the right domain before they even really thought through the steps of the business. So we kind of formulated the course where after your idea, then you do your MVP and your market feedback. You don't even talk about naming or branding or building your website until you've talked to people about it. Like, are you excited to talk to people about it? Do they want to buy it? We had people pre-sell their idea and make back their investment in the course on the 4th week, like or the 4th module, halfway through the course.
Wow.
So how cool is that? And so it's just
awesome.
Validation. And then you think about, okay, what are you going to name it? Getting the domain, doing the LLC. But when it's all step by step and laid out for you, it just makes it so much easier. And we created it because we really couldn't find anything like that, especially that had purpose at the center. Where we kept going back to, but are you excited? Does this feel good? Like, are you creating an income and an impact? Because there's people that just have passion projects, right? And they're like, I want to tell the world everything about this topic. And you're like, cool, how are you going to make money? And so, and so you have to put things in. And then we have to, have other resources. Like you mentioned, Brad Hart, his team's incredible. When people want to grow their business, we send them over to Brad. We've got partners in the crypto space that we know and trust. And if they have any projects going on, we send them that way. And even your coaching and mentoring services, and things like this are incredible resources for our community. Once they're really solid on what they want to do and what they want to give to the world, how can we plug them into their next level to just keep up leveling them, right?
Yeah, because like it's we live in a world where there's so many people who have the passion and the purpose to do one specific thing. Why try to be all things to all people? Just be the connector. There's so much reward in just being the connector, both just in your heart and also potential for partnerships and strategic alliances and things like that. I think we live in the most amazing age for being able to connect people to exactly what they want and exactly what they need at the perfect time, which is amazing. So I wanted to dive into the MVP thing, the minimum viable product. So that's like what people need to get started, to start collecting cash from people, to start saying, "Hey, do you want this?" And people say, "Yes, here's my money." Right? Like that's
it.
in essence, that's what it is. So is there a mindset or a process about how to get to that point? Is there like an overview of what needs to happen along that phase, or market research or anything like that you can give us a little bit more of an idea about?
Yeah, I'll give you a little taste what's inside the course before we get to the MVP. We've already talked through the purpose, we've already talked through business ideas, and we've got a lot of tools and resources and worksheets where they evaluate their top 3 business ideas, and we go through a bunch of viable questions that sometimes maybe they haven't thought about, like, "Cool, you love this idea, but is it a viable business?" And so the one that kind of wins from that worksheet is what we move forward with. And then the same thing where we do competitor analysis, and we've got worksheets and tools within the course to make them look at the specific things. Sometimes people get caught off on things like pricing, right? So you look at the top person in your field. Who do you emulate? What are you offering? Like, is it around the same? And then you've got the different pricing structures that we go through in the course too, on, are you going to be competitive? Do you want to start slow and build up? Do you want to have tiers? Do you want to have the early bird pricing, of the launch pricing, like all these things? And then part of the market research, I think the hardest part for people is talking about it and being confident. And it's interesting to see the difference we had in our first cohort. Some people put out to their Facebook community, "Oh, so I think I have this idea. I'm not really sure. Can you guys give me some feedback?" Oh, people gave them plenty of feedback, like just idea blurts, versus someone that said, "Hey, I'm creating this ebook. It's something I'm super passionate about. Here's what it's going to be on. Would you guys be willing to buy it? Here's the link."
Right. Yeah.
Guess who won in that, right? Number 2, because you're so much more confident about what you're doing that people are like, "Oh, okay." And they start paying attention. And getting that is mindset, right? It's overcoming some of the fears and some of the obstacles, the fear of failure. When you're creating your own business, if someone doesn't like your idea, sometimes we take that personally as they don't like us. Oh, they think we're dumb. Oh, they think that's dumb, and it's like, no, it's something that they might not be your target audience. They might not be the niche that you're going for. And that's great learnings. All of it is just great learnings. They're going to bring you closer and closer and closer to what that actual product is and who it's going to serve.
Yeah, 100%. Oh my gosh. And I love this because it's so important to be willing to put the idea out there for validation, because so many people are just going around saying, "I think this is what the marketplace will want," and then they invest thousands or even more into the idea,
Like, they
into
make
the
fancy videos,
exactly the website, all of it, right? It's like, okay, did you test it?
Right. Or sometimes they have a solution to a problem that people don't know they have yet. Right. And so it's like, oh, that's a big education hurdle.
Yeah.
Do you want to go that route? Cool, but tread lightly.
That's super important. It's like the buying temperature, like, do you have a product or service that there's people who are like, "I am desperately in need of this. You have exactly what I want. I'm ready to buy. Here's my money." And it's interesting because in that spectrum, there's probably going to be a lot of competitors in that space, or, competition, collaboration, whatever we want to call it. There's going to be other people who are doing similar things. And on the other side, if there's maybe not so much of the buying temperature, but that there's people who need that service, and you can prepare them long term to not have that problem or to avoid that challenge, then they just might not have the pain or the need or the desire to solve that problem if they haven't started to experience that pain and their buying temperature is going up because they see that the waterfall is coming and they don't want to go over.
Totally. And another great reason for the MVP to speak to that point is sometimes people speak in their language, and it's really important to speak in your customer's language.
Ooh. Ooh.
So exactly what you just said, they might not know they have an issue, or maybe they just call it something different. Maybe they don't even know what you're really talking about, and it's not connecting. So that's why those conversations in the MVP process is so important, because you're picking up the language that they're using so that when you're ready to launch your product, it connects real quick.
Boom.
Mm.
Boom. Love it. Love it, Jenny. This is gold. This is super good. So we're covering a lot of different stuff, like how to figure out what is the purpose, how to, do this marketplace testing. We talked about what kind of a business model do we want to have, what kind of pricing, that kind of stuff. So once people are testing their MVP, what's next? Like in the final stages of the program, and as your philosophy of going from passion to profit, what are those like final completion stages to like really getting the business to a point of sustainability, or a point of trajectory of growth? Like what is that? What's the end destination you almost always like get people to, or want to get people to?
Totally. So it's actually a lot easier than people think. So once you got that MVP and you've got it going, one of our modules is how to build your website in one day.
Ooh,
right? Less
wow.
is more.
Wow.
Less is more. We've got the basics of exactly what you need, and it really only takes a few hours.
Wow. Especially because you've done all the market research and all the stuff beforehand to be able to language it. So you're like, okay, now I got the language. I just got to put it in.
Totally. By that time, we've got, what is your unique value proposition? Who is your avatar? What is their language like? What is your product service? We've got the basics. And the point is to not overcomplicate, right? And if people can spend years on a website, and then they're not selling their product. So the module of building the website in one day is super helpful.
That's awesome.
And then we go into the business plan and the marketing strategies. A lot of the marketing strategies we suggest right off the bat are the free ones, like creating content, distributing content, building your list. So a lot of things that you can get started with before your launch without even spending a ton of money.
Wow.
And then we bring in we've got a ton of sales modules, because we've got, again, great world changers in the space that know Facebook ads inside and out, that have the SEO inflow. So that's all in our membership site, that go really in depth on each topic. But we give the overview of here's what you need to launch. Here's what you need to do to incorporate. What kind of corporation do you want to be? Here's the pros, here's the cons, really just laying it out on let's get going.
Yeah.
And by the end of the 4 weeks, the 8 modules, we're launching. We just finished our last module for the second cohort a few days ago. And this week has been incredible, just seeing the launches pop up and people announcing with pride these businesses that they're creating and things that they're doing to serve others. But then we say that's just the beginning, as I'm sure you know. That's when the real work gets going.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So,
people are like, oh, all I need to do is sell a bunch of stuff. Well, you got to sell it, and then you got to deliver it effectively, consistently.
Then you got to deliver it, and then you got to find more people to sell it to. So you might have to grow outside your bubble, and then you got to find more people, and then you got to go out here. And it's a continual process, but that's why it's so important to be aligned with your purpose, because when you're excited about it, and you're excited about telling more people, and you're excited about adding people to your email list because you genuinely know that you are creating something of value, it just is a world of difference. So really the launch, the end of the modules that we do live are just the beginning, because then the membership site continually has things on how to write an ebook. If you want to give a TEDx talk, how to use your Facebook ads, the SEO search, like all of these incredible experts that we've brought in, so that people can keep learning and keep growing.
Yeah, because it's like the journey is always unfolding, and like you said, people are at this place of passion and profit starting the business, and then once they're at a place ready to scale, go from like 6 to 7 figures, they can go talk to Brad Hart and like put in those systems and all the good stuff there. So it's like having that runway and all the connections to help them along the way, whatever that step is, that's super powerful. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. What would you say is the thing that you are most fulfilled by in doing these passion to profit courses?
I love when I see people hit their like sweet spot, when I see them light up really about what they're doing, and I can just be like, they've got it, right? Like they know what they want, and they're so excited, and you can tell that they found their alignment. I think that's the most exciting thing for me. And whether it's something they start on the side and gradually transition into, we're not preaching everyone, hey, quit your life and start
Right.
over.
Right.
But when you are able to guide people to something that provides them such fulfillment,
Mhm.
and you can just see it exude from them, it's the most exciting thing in the world.
Wow, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
you see that inspiration, you see that possibility in them when they get it, when it clicks, when they see the
Mhm.
results of the time and the energy that they've been putting into it, the investment of themselves, their soul, their life into this new project that is like born from them, from their gifts, and they see
Mhm.
it start manifesting and becoming a reality. I feel you. I
Yeah,
feel
and
you.
a lot of I don't want to say of course, but the incredible caliber of people that we attract to our community, the world
Mm,
changers, a lot of these businesses are intended to serve other people.
mm,
Whether that's, we've got someone who's starting a program for young girls to provide them support and get them moving, and it's all about
mm.
movement and togetherness, and it's just like, that's going to be incredible. That's going to change someone's life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And coaches and people being powerful and writing ebooks about their story that they want to share to help others on their journey, whether it's with chronic illness or divorce or
Mm,
these things, that there's just so much more being created and put out into the world that the
mm.
ripple effect is just happening all that much faster.
Wow, that's powerful. So you're doing this work with the Greatness Foundation, which is super awesome. And I'm curious, and I know our audience is curious as well. How are you continuing to stay in alignment with
Mhm.
being and becoming a world changer yourself to live that and embody that leadership within the company?
Oh, that's a great question. So I check in with myself often, on that purpose worksheet. And again, I think it's funny how the dots connect. Because when I was a young girl, I wanted to do was travel the world and tell people stories.
Mm,
I loved reading, and I loved reading biographies and memoirs and things about people that either lived in a different place or a different time, just to really understand their lives. And so now that I get to do that through greatness, which was not my original intent,
mm,
my original intent was just to be a part of something greater than myself, surrounded by this supportive community.
mm,
Um, and now the challenge is, how do I stay in alignment, right? Of being able to travel, tell their stories, and also to do more things like this, to
mm.
speak my voice, and to tell my story and to show others that it's possible. Because a lot
Mm.
of people, you don't know what you don't know, right?
That's right.
So if you don't ever meet anyone who is committed to living in their purpose and who's got tools and resources that show you that it's possible,
Mm.
um, like me growing up in small town North Carolina, it's just not super common. A lot of people go to college, get jobs, or they take over their dad's pharmacy or the
Right.
bank, or it's just like you keep the town running.
Mm,
And so, um, not I think it's just being that light to others, to not only show them it's possible, but to support them on
mm.
the journey.
Yeah.
Be able to give them the tools and the resources and the community to say, "We gotcha."
Yeah, that's powerful. And especially the people in North Carolina, you can be a beacon of light for them, especially because you're like, hey, I came from here, and I think that would be cool to invest back into the community there
Mhm.
to say like, hey, I love you guys and this is where I came from, so I want to honor that and look at all these amazing things that I'm doing. I would love to come share the energy that we're receiving in San Diego, right? Because the Greatness
Yeah.
Foundation's like getting lots of energy, getting tons of people noticing and becoming aware of you guys and new audience members, new people in the community, all that kind of stuff. So it's like to notify North Carolina news stations and stuff like that and go share the message with them over there. It's like it's super powerful to say, hey, I've grown from this and here's what I'm up to. I'm happy to say this is where I came from and I'm proud of it and I want to empower this place for everyone there to come share to come live their purpose and step up into that greatness as well.
For sure. I think that's so powerful. And I love being able to bring it back and also be inspired by it. My brother, for example, he just got a job at our alma mater at UNC Chapel Hill in the sports department where we worked in college.
Awesome.
And I think he's living his purpose. He's
Mm,
not an entrepreneur. He's not creating his own business, but
mm,
he is shining. He
mm,
is just excited. He knew exactly what he wanted. He loved that community. He loved being in sports.
mm,
He loves being that connector between the teams and the media. And so I think everyone lives their purpose in their own way. And the important thing is to ask yourself the questions and
mm.
not just kind of be on autopilot.
Yeah.
because that's what you think you're supposed to do.
Right. And I think the entrepreneurial mindset, I think it's becoming more and more prevalent. More people are adopting it. It's not necessarily that people, because it's a challenge. Because my sister, she's a nurse and she loves what she does, and that's like where she's at. And I totally see, as I create more success in my life and more results, and as I create more what's the word I'm like things ways to support her and what's important to her. She might not necessarily want to quit her job and go do other things, and she might want to like start focusing on real estate. She might want to start focusing on stocks. She might want to start focusing on investing. And so creating those multiple different streams of income, passive income, whatever it might be, that might be something that inspires her to be able to travel more or do what she wants whenever she wants. So I think it's like that mindset of entrepreneurship doesn't mean you just like, it's the person who quits their job and goes out and tries to like, scrap it together and build a successful business. No, it's like, it's a mindset about how you show up in life and how you, really want to create more freedom and choice in your life, in my
I
opinion.
agree. I think that's a big thing. The freedom. It's like you're being a skylight in the ceiling, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, someone's, "What's that light? What's going on? Like, what is that?" And it just opens up to a whole new world of possibility.
Yeah.
That they can choose to step into, but they may not have realized was there before.
Man, that's powerful. Powerful. So where do you see the Greatness Foundation evolving in the coming months and years? What do you think will be the things that you keep forefront and most important for you and your team and the community? And what do you see yourself evolving into?
Yeah, so we did have a goal at one point to positively impact 1 billion lives.
Yes.
But that seems small now. So,
yes.
So really, it's that encouragement. We've got it everywhere. I'm wearing it right now on my shirt. Do great things.
Yes.
Really inspiring everyone to just do great things. We want to create this like worldwide massive movement and this community of world changers that finds their purpose and alignment. And it might not be through Greatness Foundation. It might be through one of these other businesses that are getting created out of passion and profit.
Right.
To us, the source doesn't matter, but it's that people feel really inspired and alive. Because if everyone is living their life on purpose and in alignment, like the world would just be such an incredible place. And through that, all the philanthropic efforts just will continue to grow, and we'll be able to provide more housing, more clean water, more quality education to show people not only here in the US, but around the world what's truly possible.
That's powerful. So when we're living in that possibility-driven mindset and that possibility-driven world, then there's like no problems that we can't overcome. There's hope, there's inspiration for any kind of difficulty or injustice or thing that's going on. It's like when people are living their purpose, it's almost like there's no problem that can't be overcome, in that like everyone is looking and out to say, hey, where can I be of service? What problems still exist that I can bring my gifts, my genius to? And I think that's a really cool world to live into and be co-creating. That's awesome.
Yeah, it excites me. It's fun when you're a part of something way bigger than yourself, that you can't even fathom what it's going to become yet.
Man. So juicy. Awesome, Jenny. I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're beginning to wrap up, and I just want to get the final takeaways, the most important points from this interview that you want our audience to really receive and integrate and take action on. What are those?
I think really to listen to that divine discomfort. If you feel that something is off a little bit, it probably is, right? and to really dig in and say, what is that? And spend a little time focusing on your purpose. Go to the website, download the worksheet, figure out really what makes you come alive, and start doing more things that excite you and less that close you down and make you feel, negative or heavy. Which is kind of how my entire transition happened. I just started doing more things that lit me up and excited me, and less things that felt heavy and that felt like obligations. Because I think that'll help in your alignment to always be more, do more, and give more.
100%. 100%. And one final question. What does the wristband say on your arm, and why do you wear it?
Guess what it says?
Be more, do more, give more.
Do great things.
Oh, do great things. That's good too.
Greatness Foundation. Yeah, I've got it on the wristband, got it on the shirt.
Love it.
At Pine Creek HQ in San Diego on the beach.
Oh man.
Just a constant reminder to do great things, to choose greatness, which doesn't have to be anything major. It's just in each moment. Are we going to be here? Are we going to be good? Or are we going to choose greatness? We're going to be great.
I love it. I love it. This is another thing that maybe you can take back to your community that I utilize and champion, is that every day is the best day ever. Right. So it might seem like a little overwhelming or too much pressure, or how can today be the best day ever if I got married last week, or I got, my kid was born last year, whatever it might be. Right. Rather, it's more of just a choice to show up as that best version of yourself. I'm choosing to have the best day ever. I'm choosing for everything to go perfectly, for everything to be in alignment, because what you focus on expands, and where you place your focus and where you direct that, that's what will be created in your life. So if you're saying, how can today be the best day ever? How was today the best day ever? If you're looking back and reflecting, well, this happened, that was awesome. And really, this moment is all we have anyways. So why wait till tomorrow to have the best day ever? Why hold on to yesterday as, better than today, and have that comparison or judgment mindset? So maybe that's something that we can bring to the greatness community as well. I'd love to champion that with you guys.
I love it. Do great things. Make it the best day ever.
That's right. Yes. I love it. So Jenny, our audience definitely wants to know how to do more great things. So what do they do next? How can they stay connected with you?
That's perfect. So the first thing would be really to hop on the Greatness Foundation website, greatness.ngo, or thegreatnessfoundation.com. Is probably the best way to start, is downloading that purpose worksheet. We've got the Do Great Things podcast just launched, which has incredible stories of inspiration and people's heroes' journeys as they have been on their journey for their own greatness. So a ton of free content there to just get started. Yeah. And then we've got the experiences. If you want to come to Mexico, we've got retreats in Bali. If you're looking for something a little more than the things online, come join us. Come meet this incredible community. Gosh, so many just incredible things have happened when people come together that really want to make a difference.
So amazing. I love it, Jenny. Thank you so much for being you, and everyone definitely stay connected with the Greatness Foundation, Jenny and Mike. I'm sure we'll get Mike on here too one day soon.
We'll get him on.
It'll be a blast. So Jenny, thank you for the work that you do in the world. Thank you for living your purpose every day, one day at a time, and teaching people how to really live their purpose and be in alignment with that, because that is what the world needs. And like you said, when the whole world is doing it, 6-7 billion people are doing that, and like I said, no problem can be too big. We can overcome any challenge that comes our way. So that is super awesome for what you do. Thank you. Thank you
Keep rocking it. I love it.
Thanks, Jenny. We'll see you soon. Okay,
sounds great. Have the best day ever.
The best day ever. All right, see you, Jenny.
Bye.